Good morning, I'm Richard Parr and you are watching Sportuccino. It's 8 GMT and every single weekday morning we're live on Facebook and we are live on YouTube. It's great to have you watching the show today. Today we're talking about WWE Survivor Series. Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. We're going to get into all of that and more in just a moment, but let's begin the day with our morning sports headlines. India win the toss and choose to bat as England bowler James Anderson returns in the second test. Andy Murray fights back from a set down to beat NISHIKORI at the ATP World Tour Finals. Wayne Rooney apologises for inappropriate behaviour after pictures emerged of the England captain at a party over the weekend. And Barcelona agree a 5-year, £47 million shirt sponsorship deal with the Japanese internet retailer Rakuten. Well, today's show is not brought to you by anyone. Today we're sponsor free. We're bringing this out of the goodness of our own hearts. If you would like to help support our show, just go and send us an email, sportsdesk@sportuccino.com. Also, if you'd like to support the show, don't be afraid to buy some of our merchandise. It's at sportuccino.com. We would love your support. All right, the second test between England and India has begun, so let's get a quick update. So after the first test was drawn, it's India versus England in the second test. India won the toss. They chose to bat. They lost 2 early wickets, one of them to the returning James Anderson. He came back from injury. Stuart Broad's got the other wicket, but India have fought back with Kohli and Pujara. The last few moments ago, India were 154 for 2, but they can't break this stand going on right now, which is over a century partnership. We'll keep you updated on that at the end of today's program. All right, if you have any questions related to cricket, related to wrestling, related to any of the big stories in our morning headlines, what do you think of Wayne Rooney's behaviour and his apology? What do you think of everything that's going on at the O2 at the ATP World Tour Finals? Please get involved in the comment section on Facebook. Please also get involved in the comment section on YouTube, and also join in the conversation on Twitter. We're at Sportuccino. And to help prod you along, push you along, we like to have a poll every single day on Twitter. And let's have a look at the result of yesterday's poll. And we were asking, does Gareth Southgate deserve to be the next England manager? Does Gareth Southgate deserve to be the next England manager? And 75% of you, that's a big number, saying, no way, Jose, he doesn't deserve it. Remember, he got 2 draws out of those 4 matches. He did win the other 2, conceded 2 late goals against Spain on Tuesday. Remember, Roy Hodgson won all of his qualifying matches for the last tournament, but 75% of you think he should get the job. All right, that leads us to today's poll, and our guest will be with us in just a moment because he's going to be talking about WWE Survivor Series, what I like to call one of the traditional Big 4 pay-per-views. And it's normally where there'll be a team of 4 taking on another team of 4, and there's quite a few of these traditional Survivor Series matches happening at this year's event, but it's going to be headlined by Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. So let's have a quick look at today's poll. We are asking, who do you think will win at Survivor Series? Will it be Lesnar or will it be Goldberg? We'd love to get your thoughts on that. Will it be Goldberg or will it be Brock Lesnar? Let us know on that. Well, to talk about all of this, I'm joined by a wrestling expert, the WWE voice for the show Gorilla Position and editor of Kick. We have got Ash Rose joining us on Sportuccino. Ash, welcome to the show. So we've got to start with this big main event, Goldberg versus Lesnar. I want to get your prediction in just a moment, but first of all, I want to ask, where were you when Goldberg faced Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 20?
Wow. Well, there's a question, Richard. I was watching it live. I remember that I was probably in my old parents' living room with an old friend of mine who we used to watch all the pay-per-views with, and we used to eat crackers and cheese at stupid o'clock in the morning. It used to be a tradition. So I think I would have been doing that, watching it there, and probably being a bit disappointed, as many will remember. That match didn't quite pan out as everybody had hoped. Both of them were leaving the company the next day, and the reaction was terrible in the arena, and they ended up both getting a stone cold stunner. So yeah, I think they've got sort of unfinished business, the both of them, with this match and in the WWE. So I am looking forward to it.
Quickly, what type of cheese?
Oh, I would have been basic mature cheddar then. My cheese taste has grown over the years, but back then I was a bit more just mature cheddar.
you, you developed as a person and with your taste buds. I bet you didn't
Yeah,
think we'd talk
exactly.
about
Yeah,
cheese this
I've
morning.
discovered brie now, so I'm all right.
Well, I hope that the taste buds have improved, and so will the match between Goldberg and Brock
Mm,
Lesnar. I remember I was at university and I had been so pumped for this match. And then when it finally came, I was so utterly, utterly disappointed. And I think it was due to that massive disappointment that I remember exactly where I was. So I think that's why I
yeah.
asked you that. So, are you looking forward to it this time around? And who do you think will go over?
I am. I think there's been a lot of negativity online about the match because I know there's obviously this thing about part timers coming back, taking the spots on the card. But I think Goldberg's completely convinced me to be excited about this match. I've been so surprised how brilliant he's been in the segments that we've seen, especially his mic skills, because he's not been a guy that I remember back in his WCW days, and I was a huge WCW fan as well. I watched both of them back in the day, but I was actually leaning towards WCW during the Goldberg era and the NWO and stuff. So I was a big fan of Goldberg, but his mic skills were never something that you kind of remember very well. But he's knocked it out of the park coming to WWE. He's really shown up Lesnar as someone who, he doesn't really have the mic skills. Paul Heyman being his mouthpiece most of the time. And I've been really, really impressed, especially the promo on Monday night and the visuals of the security guards and everything like that. I think he's been brilliant. I loved his passion. I think he's really enjoying being back, especially in front of his son and his family. As he's mentioned quite a few times, he's really shown a big passion for it. Whereas obviously Lesnar's never really shown that. His character doesn't give us that. He's I'll do it. I'll fight what I want. I'll do it for the money. That's kind of Lesnar's role, and the juxtaposition between the two has been really, really interesting. As for prediction, I just can't see Goldberg going over. I'd love it. I would absolutely. I think it'd be brilliant. I'd like to see him get an extended run, but I think Brock's in this kind of run where he's unbeatable, and it's going to take someone who's going to be more longevity in the company somewhere down the line to eventually slay the beast. So I think Goldberg will give it a big go. I think it'll be a big kind of opening, see him do big power moves, but I think eventually, I think Lesnar will come out on top.
I've got a bad feeling we're not going to get a clean finish on this one. I've got a feeling that Goldberg's come into this saying, I'll do it, but I don't want to lose because I want to look good for my
Mm,
son and show him what I can do. Lesnar's obviously not going to go clean over, I don't think, or lose cleanly. I can see them just brawling all over the arena or something ridiculous to get stopped. A bit like what you had with Randy Orton, albeit that was a
yeah.
TKO. But I can imagine something where they just pummel themselves and then it'll just set up for a rematch. And it wouldn't surprise me if that could happen at, if not Royal Rumble, then potentially a WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's a possibility because you do wonder if Goldberg's coming back just for one match. Would he really want to lose it? I don't know if they've thrown in a Hall of Fame kind of carrot to him, saying if you lose this match, then we'll put you into the Hall of Fame in January. Maybe that's something, but it'd be disappointing for him, I suppose, to lose in front of his son for the first time in 12 years. I know there's the Shane McMahon element because I know there's a lot of rumours with Brock and Shane at Mania next year. I don't know how that would play into the current storyline, but it won't be below for long that we're in WrestleMania seasons. The seeds are beginning to be sown in terms of matches. We saw The Undertaker come back on Tuesday as well. So that means there's a road for him for WrestleMania. So yeah, I can completely see that happening, Richard, and a rematch on the cards. But that may be the best way, at least initially, to appease both Goldberg and Brock.
All right, let's have a look at the rest of the card. Let's work from bottom back up towards the top.
Mm.
Cruiserweight title match, Brian Kendrick versus Kalisto. If Kalisto wins, the whole Cruiserweight division will go to SmackDown. Are we expecting that to happen?
I'm quite torn on this, At first, especially with 205 Live going on a Tuesday night, I was going, "All this, is SmackDown's going to have the cruiserweights?" It's a simple from a production point of view. That's the way that it should go. But and then I've started to think about Raw's 3 hour show that we know a lot of it drags at the moment, which show taking away the cruiserweights as well. I don't know what they're going to fill it with. And we're going back to things we didn't really want to see, before they introduced the purple ropes and everything. And I think we could see cruiserweights on Monday and cruiserweights on Tuesday. So I am leaning now towards Brian Kendrick, but it could go either way, which is a lot of these matches, which is fantastic to watch on Sunday. I like a card that you don't really know what's going to go on. Survivor Series is one of my favourite pay-per-views as well. So it could go either way, but sticking my neck on the line, I think Kendrick might sneak this one.
Okay, so the other match where the whole landscape of Raw and SmackDown could change is for the Intercontinental title, The Miz taking on Sami Zayn. Now, I got really excited at the thought of Dolph Ziggler versus Sami Zayn. And obviously, The Miz has now beaten Ziggler for the title on SmackDown on Tuesday, changing that match. I think there still could be developments maybe on the day or even leading up to the day where Dolph Ziggler gets involved. Maybe it becomes a three-way or something like that. But for me, it's kind of mucked this match up because I just thought Zayn versus Ziggler, almost like a dream match. Give them 30 minutes, let them do whatever they want to do. We can all enjoy it. Now I just think, all right, you're just wrapping Sami Zayn into this storyline between Ziggler and Miz. Are you looking forward to this?
I'm with you, not as much as I was Zayn Ziggler. I think you're right. I think their styles together would have meshed much better than. Although Miz for me is one of the MVPs of 2016. He's been fantastic on SmackDown as a heel champion, and his feud with Ziggler has been one of the best of the year. But I do think they've missed a trick on this one. I think the Zayn Ziggler match would have been better. I think at that point as well, it made it a little bit more ambiguous who might win. At the moment, now that Miz has won the title, I can see him going over and keeping that on SmackDown, keeping this feud with Daniel Bryan going, which for me has to have some sort of payoff at the end of it. We've said on Gorilla Position that are we seeing Daniel Bryan back for one more match against The Miz next year, because they keep going with this. I think Daniel could be involved at some point as well. So I think The Miz may just keep hold of that, just because I think he's just won it. They're going to go with this Miz reunion tour as well, the Daniel Bryan factor, as I said. So I think Sami will give a great show and it'll be a decent match. But I'm a tad disappointed it's not Ziggler.
Yeah, me too. So the one match which I'm really not looking forward to is the Survivor Series tag team match. I don't think you could stick any more kind of lower card stars into this match. What was it? It's 10 aside, so there's like 20 people. And you're not even going to be able to see anything because there's just going to be people around the ropes. And just look at some of these. Heath Slater and Rhino, they do nothing for me. Hype Bros do nothing for me. American Alpha are amazing. Usos are great. Tyler Breeze, Fandango do nothing for me. So effectively for me, it's American Alpha versus Enzo and Cass. I quite enjoy. Gallows and Anderson, I think their run has been disappointing despite them being pretty good. Can't stand Shining Stars. Don't enjoy Cesaro and Sheamus as a team. I love Cesaro individually. And New Day rock, but this just reeks kind of a bit of a comedy spot fest for me. Yeah,
it's fodder, isn't it? It's complete Survivor Series fodder, this match. There's, you mentioned sort of lower card. That's just thank our lucky stars that we haven't seen the Ascension involved or the Spirit Squad or even the Headbangers. They haven't gone that low down on SmackDown. But yeah, it's a bit of a cluster muck, this one, isn't it, really? There's going to be so many people around the ring. It harks back to the sort of early Survivor Series days when you had like sort of the early 90s. You had these massive tag team matches, but then you're looking at names like the Hart Foundation, the Brainbusters, the Killer Bees, the Rockers. So the names are pretty different from the Shining Stars and whoever else you mentioned in there. It's so hard to predict again because I think it's going to be. We don't even know actually if it's the rules where if one tag team member gets pinned, the other gets eliminated. They haven't said that. Usually in these matches, that's what happens, and it will probably be better. So it sort of filters out the ring and around their apron pretty quickly, so people can actually see what's going on. I expect the New Day to go over. I said on the show last week on Gorilla Position that we do on TalkSport that I think the New Day will be the sole survivors, only because they're sort of the prime time tag team at the moment, with the long reign that they've had. I think American Alpha have a great showing because they're the future. But if I was putting my money on the line, I think New Day, possibly with Enzo and Cass as well, because they're big fans' favourite, will be the sole survivors, and Raw going over in this kind of messy tag affair.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be the tag teams going out together, because otherwise we could be there for hours.
Yeah, but it's a long card. I mean, it's 4 hour show, and at the moment there's only 6 matches announced, 6 or 7 matches. So I do wonder if they're going to stretch that match. I hope not. I'd rather see it go to the the main men's event and get as much out of Bill Goldberg and Brock Lesnar as you can. But it's a long card, a long show for the amount of matches on the card.
Yeah, the thing is, I would be surprised if Lesnar and Goldberg. I'd be amazed if that goes over 10 minutes.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, just from Goldberg's point of view, he's not been in the ring for 12 years. He's going to suffer some sort of ring rust, and we know Lesnar has a limited sort of space when it comes to what he can do in the ring. So yeah, it's not going to be a long one, that one.
So the women's match that could go on for quite a while. You've got Team
Yes.
SmackDown: Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella, Carmella, Alexa Bliss, and Naomi against Team Raw of Charlotte, Bayley, Nia Jax, Alicia Fox, and Sasha Banks. Now, I continue to have a debate with a friend of mine over who has the better talent in the women's division. Is it on Raw? Is it on SmackDown? For me, by far, the talent is on Raw. It's with Charlotte, it's with Bayley, it's with Sasha. Do you agree? And do you think... In my eyes, I think the WWE see that the women's division on Raw is stronger, and I think they might give SmackDown the win here to kind of show that it's just as good.
Possibly, yeah. I think SmackDown's a little bit greener at the moment, isn't it? With guys like Alexa Bliss and Carmella, they're still very new, still learning the trade. I've been very impressed with Bliss in her feud with Lynch, but again, I don't think she's on a par at the moment with the likes of Sasha Banks, Bayley, and especially Charlotte, who has been one of the best heels in the company this year. She's really, really grown into that Flair character, and I love her pay-per-view record as well, where she's not lost a pay-per-view where she's had a belt. That's just a fantastic thing to boast about for her character. I can see the SmackDown sort of getting the sort of boost up from that, but trouble with these pay-per-views, you go back to sort of like bragging rights they used to do, and the times they've done these sort of Survivor Series matches before, they tend to give the big one to SmackDown, the men's one, just because we know as wrestling fans and people involved in the industry that Raw will always be seen as slightly the flagship show, and I think SmackDown, they like to give that boost to SmackDown when they can. So I do have a funny feeling the men might win that one, therefore the matches underneath that might go to Raw, and especially with Charlotte leading that one. So I could see Charlotte being the sole survivor, possibly with Bayley, because they've really got big things planned for her. I think those two will be feuding heading into sort of the new year and the Royal Rumble. So I can totally see where you're coming from the SmackDown, but I have a funny feeling that Raw might take this one, as SmackDown might take the men's big match.
Okay, let's talk about that big match a little bit more. It's Team Raw, the co-captains of Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho.
Brilliant.
With Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins against the Team SmackDown Live of AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Dean Ambrose, Shane McMahon, and Bray Wyatt. Just quickly, I want to talk about SmackDown. You had The Undertaker return on Tuesday, where he pretty much said, I'm not all about WrestleMania. I'm about SmackDown. SmackDown is my home. You better not let me down or you'll feel my wrath. If it's such his home, why is he not defending his home? Why is he not on that card?
Yeah, where has he been? That's the first sort of 3.5 years, was it? The first time he'd been on SmackDown? I don't really see Taker as a SmackDown guy. I know he's had a lot of good moments on SmackDown, but here's someone who was on the first ever Monday Night Raw. He was there way before SmackDown even existed. So, and at the moment he's not signed to either roster either. So yeah, it was a lot of what Undertaker said on Tuesday night was really ambiguous. He said he's not defined by WrestleMania. He's here to take souls and dig holes. So does that mean he's back full time in SmackDown? Are we going to see him? Are we going to see him on Sunday night as well? Very ambiguous to what he was saying. And at one point I did think he was going to take maybe Shane's place in the match as well, but we didn't see that happen. He's just, warned them that it will feel their wrath. I was a little bit disappointed with the whole segment, really, because they built up this 900th episode, and both Edge and Undertaker didn't really say anything apart from buy into this fantasy warfare that they keep pushing for the Sunday card. So I don't know. I could see him turning up maybe in this match and helping SmackDown, but there's so many elements that could happen. So many combustible elements in this match. People not getting on, the James Ellsworth factor on the SmackDown side, the new Wyatt family and how that's probably going to implode. There's a lot of factors that could go into this match.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of those on the SmackDown side. You also got on the Raw side the best friends of Owens and Jericho. You know,
Drink it in, man. Drink it in.
I'm disappointed you're not wearing a scarf today, Ash.
Oh, it's coming. I'm sure the WWE have got their merchandise wheels working as well. We'll see a Jericho scarf in the shop soon.
Well, that's the interesting thing. Jericho says that he doesn't like to sell merchandise when he's a heel, and you know, they tried one week where he wasn't going to put anyone on the list because they felt it was going too much, and then he's back putting people on the list. You know, eventually he's going to turn face. I'm expecting at some point Owens to turn on Jericho. I think potentially that's too soon on Sunday. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's too soon. Yeah. I think Jericho, I said it, I think it's possibly his best run. I mean, I'm a big fan of his 2008 stuff with Shawn Michaels, but he's been so good in this run with Kevin Owens. I mean, the man's got a scarf and a list over. It's ridiculous, but he's so over at the moment. And they relented in the end. I think they've released that list T-shirt, haven't they? But I haven't seen anyone wear it and I've heard that about Jericho, and he likes to keep that heel persona as it should be. But he's been so brilliant. I can't wait for that sort of turn from Owens, but I love how it's bubbling under. Maybe the Rumble, that could be the main event of the Rumble we might see. I think it might be too soon for Roadblock, but I think we might just see it in the build to the Rumble where we see these two. It's a bit of a shame that it wasn't sort of 6 months ago, and now they're in Toronto on Sunday. You having these two main event in Canada would have been some sort of, been really massive for them. But yeah, I think Rumble could see them sort of finally sort of boil over into a fantastic match.
Yeah, and maybe even just drag it out as far as WrestleMania. You know, if you can.
People are buying into it. I think they can.
Yeah, I think Kevin Owens deserves that kind of big event at WrestleMania on the main stage. Jericho can certainly bring the best out of him in that situation. I think that could be very interesting. Well, Ash, it's been so great to get your thoughts on everything to do with WWE Survivor Series. I'm pretty looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great card. Just before you go, Ash, why don't you just give us a quick reminder of how we can continue to follow you on Twitter and social media and everything else you're involved with, please?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at AshRaceUK. So yeah, come and have a chat about all things wrestling and football. I'm an editor of Football Magazine as well, so a bit of both. And yeah, I'm also part of the, as you mentioned at the top of the show, the TalkSports Gorilla Position team. We're doing an actual live show as well next month, December 7th. We've got Bailey and Finn Balor in attendance. So get your tickets to go to WWEGP. Come along. You can ask questions to these two guys. It's going to be a great night. And hopefully it'll be a great night Sunday as well. Survivor Series, one of my favourite pay-per-views. I'm sure it will deliver.
Well, all the best for that show. That sounds like a fantastic show on December the 7th, your live Gorilla Position show. Great guests there, Finn Balor and Bailey. Ash, it's been great to get your thoughts. Thank you so much for appearing on Sportuccino this morning.
Cheers. Thanks, Richard.
Really great to hear from Ash this morning on Sportuccino. Now, every single Wednesday on my other podcast, The Best in the World with Richard Parr, I interview world champions, Olympic champions, former world record holders, former world number ones, basically to try and find out what they do to become the very best at what they do. Those 1% differences, those little things that they do to win those gold medals. On this week's show, I spoke to the 2008 Olympic volleyball champion, Phil Dalhausser, the American. And he was going into London at the 2012 Games as the defending champion, but he got quite a bad illness heading into that event. Why don't you have a little listen to what happened to Phil?
The Best in the World podcast with Richard Parr.
Doctors found 2 blood clots in my left shoulder, and I was in the hospital for about, 4 or 5 days. I couldn't really do much. I couldn't really train really that hard because I was on a blood thinner, and doctors were afraid, like, if I were to, say, run into the pole and get a concussion or something, that I would, you could ultimately die.
The Best in the World podcast with Richard Parr.
So yes, if you want to learn more about Phil Dalhausser and listen to the full interview, go to richardparr.net/iTunes. Every single Wednesday, we bring out a new interview with a world or an Olympic champion, former world record holder or former world number one. And next week's episode 40, is absolutely huge. Stay tuned to Sportuccino and I'll tell you exactly who that is next week. All right. Just a quick reminder that today's show is sponsor-free. If you'd like to help support our show, please send us an email, sportsdesk@sportuccino.com, or perhaps buy some of our merchandise from sportuccino.com. All right, let's have that part of the day where I try a brand new sports, health, or fitness product. Oh dear, not nuts again. Oh, this is going to make me choke again. I don't even have my Sportuccino mug in front of me today. Just got a bit of coffee, Americano, black coffee, no milk for me. So today, I'm already opening it before even telling you what it is. Today we're eating Kind nuts and spices, 63% nuts, gluten-free. You know I like my gluten-free. High fiber, no artificial colors, flavors, or preservatives. Ingredients you can see and pronounce. Well, you might be able to pronounce, doesn't necessarily mean I can. Let's have a closer look at these ingredients. And they are almonds, caramel flavored coating, chicory root fiber. I don't know who they think can all say chicory root. Palm kernel oil, sugar, fat-free milk powder, carob powder, salt, natural flavoring, emulsifier, color annatto. I can't say annatto. Not everyone can say all of this. I disagree with you, Kind. Honey, glucose syrup, rice flour, sea salt, emulsifier, soy lecithin. All right, they're wrong here. Ingredients you can pronounce. This is a lie. All right, what is the nutritional information we've got here? 5.9 grams of protein, 7.3 grams of fiber. Yeah, that's quite a bit of fiber. 16 grams of fat, 200 calories. All right, let's try this bad boy. Oh, it looks nutty on the top, but kind of caramelly on the bottom. I guess it is called caramel, almond, and sea salt. I'm going to break up a little bit more of it because otherwise I'm going to be chewing and choking again. That's tasty, actually. It's got that nice mix of the nuts and the caramel. It's a bit like the Snickers without the chocolate around it. It might be almost a little bit too salty. I should probably eat some more, but I won't because that's going to cause trouble. Just have a quick sip of coffee here. Just give me that bit more energy. But yeah, that's not too bad. All right, that is today's product review. Go out and buy it. Kind, caramel, almond, and sea salt, nuts and spices. Pretty tasty. All right, we are running out of time. Let's have a quick look at the order of play at the ATP World Tour Finals today. So here you go, Novak Djokovic. He was supposed to be facing Gael Monfils. Instead, he's facing David Goffin of Belgium. He is a replacement. Monfils had lost his first two matches at the event. Not for the first time has someone who's lost their first two matches withdrawn from the competition. And it's Milos Raonic, the Canadian, taking on Dominic Thiem from Austria. Thiem beat Monfils in that last match. Look ahead to all of that. Djokovic, remember, he's already qualified, but he needs to win to have a chance of being the world number one by the end of the year. All right, we've run out of time on today's Sportuccino. Let's have a quick look at our morning headlines. India win the toss and choose to bat as England bowler James Anderson returns in the second test. Andy Murray fights back from a set down to beat NISHIKORI at the ATP World Tour Finals. Wayne Rooney apologises for inappropriate behaviour after pictures emerge of the England captain at a party over the weekend. And Barcelona agree a 5-year, £47 million shirt sponsorship deal with the Japanese internet retailer Rakuten. The latest from the cricket, India 203 for 2. They are going strong after losing those 2 early wickets. Thanks to Ash Rose for appearing on today's Sportuccino, talking all about WWE Survivor Series. Please get involved with our poll on our Twitter page at Sportuccino. Tomorrow we're going to look ahead to a huge weekend in football. The Premier League is back, and it is back with a bang. Manchester United versus Arsenal, one of the biggest rivalries in English football. We're going to preview all of that. We're also going to look ahead to the rugby. We'll discuss the tennis. We'll bring you updates from the cricket. You name it, we've got it. Tomorrow, 8 o'clock GMT, live on Facebook, live on YouTube, and also listen back to the show on iTunes. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow morning from 8.